Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. How are you? I hope you're great. Happy Wednesday. We're back on Wednesday schedules now. I'm really excited about that. I don't like going live on Thursdays. I really like my regular routine, but I was traveling last week on Wednesday. So, hi, I am today, just happens to be the 5-year anniversary of this business. And so I'm going to talk today about my 5 biggest learnings. I don't even want to call them lessons, but 5 things that I've learned that as I've been pondering this and reflecting on the last 5 years, and as my business is about to take a little pivot, I'm sort of 80% there. I will share the details when I have them closer to 100. Most of you won't even notice a difference, but I am tweaking some things around in my business just a little bit, mainly so that I can create space for some other projects and have a little bit more balance between work and personal life while also doing more. So I'm just kind of getting creative around all that. Still coaching. I love coaching. That's the one thing that has been 100% the same since I started this business. Even though I didn't call myself a coach in the beginning, I have realized and learned over the last 5 years, well, it took me about a year and a half, the first year and a half to learn that I'd been coaching people my whole life. I just wasn't calling it that. And so around a year and a half or 2 years into my business, I started actually calling myself a coach. But that's not what I'm talking about today. So again, it's just kind of funny. Normally I like to do these little anniversary lives. I think I've done 3 of them now, the last 3 years. And it's just funny that today's regular live just falls on the anniversary. So that makes me very happy. If you're live, let me know. Tell me how long you've been in business. What are you celebrating today? Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to jump into my notes here. I think the first thing that I want to share. So what I'm talking about today is, for me, these 5 things are things that at some level I may or may not have known when I started this business, but has become clear to me over the years. And I feel that all 5 of these things have been pretty front and center from the beginning. I can't say that exactly for all 5, and I'll talk about that, but these are things that have really permeated through my business the entire 5 years. And when I really sat and thought about it, I also realized, these are 5 of the biggest things in some cases. I mean, it's hard to rank them, but they're 5 big things that I help my clients with too. And so I think one of the things that I will add that is not a 5th one of the 5 things, it's a bonus 6th thing, is that I have learned that that concept of art imitates life and life imitates art. And Robin Roberts has a beautiful quote about making your mess your message. And for those of you who are service providers in particular, I find so many people, I see this definitely with therapists and coaches and healers, but I see it even down to more seemingly practical services like OBMs and web designers that I've worked with or that I've coached, that what you go through in your own life and in your own business is a big piece of what you help your clients to do. And so it's not at all surprising that as I'm thinking about me and thinking about my journey as an entrepreneur, and thinking about this coaching business, that when I really sat and looked at it, that these are also the things that I work with my clients around. Neither here nor there, but I just thought it was an interesting awareness that I had just as I was putting this little list together. So the first thing that I want to talk about, the biggest learning I have had, and I've lived my life this way for many, many years, really since I left college in my 20s, but it's continued to be something that I've had to pay attention to over and over and over again in my life, in my career, and all the damn time in my business, is this concept of evolving as a business owner, or better said, evolving as a practitioner, evolving as whatever it is that you are. So for me, evolving as a coach. I think the biggest lesson I have learned, or the biggest thing I continue to learn and relearn, and then also help my clients with, is this concept. I have a stray hair, sorry, is this concept of how do we continue to evolve? Because for so many of us, I actually had a beautiful conversation with a friend and fellow business owner last night about this very thing. And I think that for so many of us who are drawn to creative practice, creative work, and to entrepreneurship, there is an element of, everybody's a little different, there's an element of, in order to keep growing, you have to make changes over the years, right? And this isn't to say that, you need to change things in your business all the time just for the sake of it. But when we feel creatively or inspirationally drawn, or even spiritually drawn to make a change in our work, in many cases, while that might be easy and that might be hard and it might be all of the things, I think there's sort of this concept of like the opposite. The other alternative is to stay the same and stay stagnant. And so I continue to learn over and over and over again how to grow as a coach and evolve as a coach, and how to grow and evolve this business, not just, in a practical business way. Yes, I've made more money every single year that I've been in business than the year before. Yes, I'm serving more clients. I'm creating, I think, a bigger impact. I know a bigger impact every year with my audience, with my clients. I'm becoming a better coach every year. So I'd like to think that I'm having a deeper and greater impact on my clients. So yes, from that perspective, the obvious sort of like, practical business growth, financial and otherwise, yes. But if you're not growing as a practitioner also, if you're not growing as a soul, if you're not allowing yourself, and that's really sort of those of you who might not feel that's okay, because then you have to start over. That's actually something that I really love to work with my clients around. I think I'm really, really good at it because I helped corporate clients do this over many thousands of years in my last career. And now I'm doing it with small business owners. But this idea that we think we maybe can't change because what will our audience think? What will our clients think? Are you really allowed to do that? Will people still pay you if you make a change? All of those things that really, really, really just aren't true. But we've been sold the myths from more traditional business practices, I would say. And so if you're worried about that, if you feel a change coming and it's scaring the shit out of you, I feel you. I feel that I have been a change geek and guru my whole life. And yet it doesn't mean that it's also not scary for me, just because I might seek it. And I have taken a lot of bold moves in my life and in my business over the last 20 plus years. It doesn't mean that it's also not scary for me. But if you're looking for sort of the reminder, maybe today is what you need to hear. Full permission to make a change in your business when you're following your personal evolution, your professional and the evolution of your craft, the evolution of your zone of genius. This is, I think, why we have started small businesses. This is why I think we are attracted to entrepreneurship, because you can create whatever the hell you want. And that's really fucking cool. And it's really fucking scary. So I think, and I think too, if you look at the, the big, well-known entrepreneurs, right? The Steve Jobs, or the startup guys, the people that everyone knows, they were really bold. They were really, really bold, and they changed a lot. And when you look at, I have a business degree related, and one of the things that we studied in class was, what happens as businesses grow and evolve. And one of the biggest things that predicts a business's future, and we were studying massive corporations, but one of the biggest things that predicts a business's future is the ability to change, the ability to not react to the external environment, but to be able to adapt to what's happening, to find a way to sort of find synergy between your business and what's happening in the external environment. And then same, I think for those of us that are passion driven, you have to allow that passion to be part of the equation. If you're going to run your business holistically, you've got to invite your passion to the table, put it on your board of directors, right? I often like to talk about our businesses as having their own energy. Like the energy of your business needs to be at the table of your board of directors when you're making business decisions, right? And the passion needs to be sitting at the table as well, or the zone of genius, or whatever you want to call it. And so this idea that if you really, really want to grow a sustainable business and keep growing personally, professionally in your craft, I'm not speaking financially, although I think this drives it. You got to be willing to follow that inspiration. You've got to be willing to work with your creativity. You've got to be willing to follow those nudges of do something a little different, right? Like maybe you serve this audience and you just want to change it 15% or 2%. A tiny change so oftentimes will make all the difference in the world in your business in terms of fulfillment. And the minute that you are putting fulfillment first, the minute that you are really making choices from that space, all of the practical and strategic elements of business get a lot simpler, because if you're following what lights you up, if you're following I had a conversation today with some lovely women who were really not down with social media and not down with using social media as their primary marketing tool. And it didn't feel good to them. And so they had put their energy into networking, word of mouth, doing some speaking engagements, those kinds of things. And, part of the conversation that we were having was this idea that, every strategy works. And so if you're not resonating with social media, but you're force fitting yourself and your business to do social media because that's, what they tell you to do, then you're not just doing your audience a disservice because your heart's not in it all the way, but you're also doing yourself a disservice. And so when you honor yourself and your fulfillment and your evolution, whatever that may be, then the practical elements, the strategic elements are much easier to sort of align to. And then personally, I find I've seen this in my own business. I've seen this in my clients' businesses. I've seen this in my friends and colleagues who have businesses. When we put that first, when we let that drive, and I'm not saying drive with complete blinders on, but when that's one of the top priorities, if not the top priority, the money comes with that. The ease, all this ease that people talk about when they're running their business. I think that's when the ease kicks in, when you're aligned with not just the business makes sense and your strategy makes sense and they're all aligned, but that also still aligns to your passion, your fulfillment, your style, what really works for you in terms of day-to-day, week-to-week operations, as well as creating space and grace for you to keep growing and evolving as a practitioner. Okay, I'm just going to adjust my air conditioning and you're going to hear some beeps. Sorry. Okay, so evolve. I think, allowing yourself to evolve, allowing yourself to pivot when needed, allowing yourself to keep creating and finding, and I would say too, I think part of the challenge I see with a lot of people, myself included, is finding the right balance in like creating and building something and following that creative instinct, right, with like staying the course and not throwing the baby out with the bathwater and not starting over all the time. And that's why I really like to talk to clients about pivots, even if they feel like they are in a really big fat transformation. There are so many ways to slice it. There are so many ways to go through a pivot and a transition without having to start over. And I think sometimes there is, a requirement to start over, just depending on what you're changing in your business. But really and truly, 9 times out of 10, when people I talk to who are looking to make a change, but feel that, they can't, or they can't easily because they already have something that they've built that's working, or working to some extent, but it's not working if you're not in love with it. It's not working if it doesn't light you up every day. And I also want to say, I think the other way that I want to say that is, it's also not working if it's not lighting you up as much as it used to. That's one of those little, like, just paying attention moments. It doesn't mean, every single day needs to be rainbows, puppies, and unicorns. That's not real life. But when you find that fulfillment starting to wane, when you find something not jazzing you and lighting you up just quite as much as it used to, that's your little clue to say, okay, no rush, no urgency. And I can follow that, and I can honor that, and I can make a tweak and a change whenever it's appropriate for me and my business. And I know that when I keep doing that, I'm going to be more happy in this business. And when I am following my fulfillment, money comes. Also, why would you want to start this passion-driven business and then eke the passion out by doing what you think you're supposed to do? And I find that that's so oftentimes when my clients come to me, is when they say, I have this business that I really love and this work that I really love, but somehow I've got to unravel from doing things in a way that doesn't light me up behind the scenes, or in my marketing, or in my offers, because I want whatever it is. I've been talking a lot about time to travel, time with your kids, right? Whatever it is that you want. Okay, so number 1, you got to evolve. Change is inevitable. Let yourself do that. Permission, permission, permission. Okay. Yeah. And then number 2, I've already been talking about. Number 2 for me is that concept of putting fulfillment first, not running your business from the perspective of what you think is going to make you money. I think money is a really, really, really important element of business. And I'm not trying to pretend like it's bad. I'm not trying to pretend like it's not important. But I think when we run out of business, and I kind of want to say it that way, when we run our business, or we run out of business for the purpose of making money only, then we most likely are going to build something based on what we think, which might not be true, what we think will bring us the most money the fastest. But that doesn't mean that that is going to be sustainable for you. It doesn't mean that it's going to be enjoyable for you. So what I like to do is reverse that. Put your fulfillment first, as I've been saying, following that passion, following what lights you up. If you work with men and you work with women and you realize you don't really love working with men, oh my God, stop working with men. Let yourself just work with women, right? These are tiny things. When you look at them on paper, or when you talk to somebody else about their business, but for you on the inside, I find it can feel really big. But when you let yourself follow your passion at every level of your business, again, I'm not trying to say it needs to be Pollyanna, unicorns, and rainbows, but when you really pick a marketing strategy that really feeds you and that lights you up, where you feel that you can put content out that feels good to you, that's going to work. That's going to be more fun. If they all work, why wouldn't you just choose one that you enjoy, right? If you're having difficulties with some clients, if you're having some resentment popping in, I always say, like, resentment is one of our biggest teachers, paying attention to that, working on, putting your fulfillment first as a guiding principle in your business. I promise you, will make you a happier person, will make you better at what you do, will allow your team to support you in easier and deeper ways, because you're going to be so lit up, and will attract the clients and the customers that you're looking for. And therefore you're going to make more money. So I think fulfillment first that's the way that I run my business. That's the way that I help my clients run their businesses. And it's something that I wanted to believe was true when I started this business. I really had a hard time from a mindset perspective when I started this business and when I left corporate in search of meaningful work. And I wanted to believe, and I think I had to make a huge shift just to even start this business, because I felt that you could make money doing work you didn't love, or you could do work you didn't love and make no money, or make very little money. And so I had to take a shift, make a shift just in order 5 years ago to start this business. That was one of the biggest hurdles that I had from a mindset perspective before I started this business. And I didn't get all the way there, right? I hadn't seen it in practice. And so I started this business with enough clarity and enough of a mindset shift to have hope that it was true. But I have continually learned over and over and over again, every single year, that I just love what I'm doing. And even when I don't love what I'm doing, I love that I have the power and the control to make a change. And I find this concept of being able to put fulfillment first and make money. I personally find that's a much easier way to make money, instead of having to force fit your passion into a way that you think you can monetize. Okay. I think the next one I want to talk about is this concept of authenticity. And it's not really authenticity, but that's just the best word I can come up with when I was thinking this through. Again, when we're putting, there's so much overlap between these first three. But if you think about putting fulfillment first in your business, then I think naturally this third one kind of gets taken care of. Or when you think about this third one, this authenticity concept, then I think sometimes the fulfillment follows, and they kind of go hand in hand. One sort of helps you do the other, because I think when we try to put out into the world our passionate work, but we try to do it in a way that we think we're supposed to, or we try to do it. And this isn't about being inauthentic. That's why I don't love the word authentic, but it's not about being inauthentic, but I think there's oftentimes we are trying to present ourselves, whether it be online, when we're speaking, when we're talking to potential clients, when we're doing anything, we try to present ourselves, especially in the beginning. And this is me thinking backwards, to 5 years ago. I think we try to present ourselves in a certain way so that people will like us, so that people will want to buy our stuff, so that we can create a connection. And that doesn't mean that we are intentionally being inauthentic, but it does mean that we aren't maybe being as authentic as we could be, or we might be if we were, sitting down having a coffee with a friend. And so I think for me, one of the things that I've continually pushed myself to do, and I'm really glad that I did it, was I wanted to it's like I almost had to prove to the me in corporate that I could be me in my work. Just like I said with the fulfillment, like I wanted to prove to myself that I could make money doing work that I loved. Because as much as I cherish the relationships I created in corporate, and I really very, very grateful for that experience, I learned a ton. There were lots of moments where I was aware that it wasn't the ideal place for me to thrive, environment for me to thrive, because I didn't feel, now I could have been myself all the way, but I didn't feel that that would be appropriate. I didn't feel that that would be okay. I felt that I was going along to get along oftentimes, or I had to play a politics game, or I didn't feel that in certain circumstances I was able to speak my truth or my opinion about what I thought the organization should do. I had to sometimes depending, get that vetted. And so there was an element for me of holding back, right? An element for me of putting forward what I thought would be most effective and presentable. And so I find that we as entrepreneurs, even when we are our own boss, we still are like worried about the people that are out there, right? The people online in our audiences, or the potential clients, or the clients, or the your cousin who might be watching, right? Your former colleague, and we're trying to do it, quote, the right way. And by the way, who says what the hell is the right way? But I think what I have tried to do, and as I'm talking about, paying this forward and paying my lessons, like sharing what I've learned with you so that you can take that and run with it if you want to, make it your own, is that when you push yourself to put authenticity as a top priority, right? So when I just think about all of these are things that end up on my sort of values or guidelines for running my business that I always come back to when I'm trying to make a tough decision, when I'm trying to navigate a change, navigate a conversation with someone, whatever it is going on in my business, I often will come back to these things. Allowing myself to grow and evolve as a practitioner is a high priority of mine. So if I feel that I'm like forcing myself to stay the same, it's sort of a point where I have to go, hold on a minute. I said this was my top priority. So here I am trying to not change. Let's have a little conversation, right? Same with putting fulfillment first. When I am making decisions and I'm aware that I'm choosing something that I think, right, in my human-y way of trying to predict what I think is going to make me more money than what I'm making now. And I try to do something and I realize that I would be doing that in a way that wouldn't really light me up, that would feel kind of awkward, icky, something. Then I go back to this, okay, wait a minute, but one of my values is fulfillment first. So let that help me make a good decision here. Same with authenticity. So I oftentimes will call this be you. So where can you be more you in your business, which is also about putting yourself first, putting your fulfillment first, right? And when you do that, then you're really shining a bigger light, I think, out into the world to impact the people that you uniquely are here to impact. And they will like see your lighthouse beacon shining and they will be drawn to it, versus you putting out some watered down version of you that you've like carefully curated to look like a business coach, or to look like a web designer, or to look like an OBM. And then you're kind of just like everybody else and people don't see the difference, and that your light is smaller and less obvious to the people that are looking for you. So when you're you, and I would argue too, like that's when I think it's important to find good ways to allow whatever you think is like your weirdo part, like to let that play into your business as well. I'm always having goofy, joking conversations. I'll always joke around with my clients. That's who I am. And it's okay if somebody doesn't like that. They're just not a good fit to work with me, because I go really, really deep. I can be really serious and intense, and I can really, help somebody make a major mindset shift. And we can also do it in a way that's fun. We can also do it in a way that keeps you sane. We can also enjoy ourselves, right? And for me, that's me. That's how I live my life. That's who I am. And it's frankly part of my genius is that I'm able to kind of run both sides of that. Whatever your thing is your weird thing is also part of your genius. And that also enables you to be better at what you do. So be you and keep finding ways. It's not just be you. Yep, Laura, I got that, checked it off. I'm authentic. I'm myself. Great. As you keep going in your business, where can you push yourself to be more you? Where can you put more of you in your marketing? Where can you, if you are a goofy, silly person, like where can you incorporate some of that? Find a little space for that to sit and to not sit, but like to come out in your business. So my invitation to you is not just make sure you're being you and you're being authentic, because I imagine that all of you are at some point. But how can you challenge yourself to take it up a notch? Because when you do that, it makes it more fulfilling and you're more attractive. Okay, so that's 3. I'm just gonna check to see if we have any comments, because I'm seeing something, but I can't tell. Give me 1 second. Thank you for the heart. Let's see. Thank you. Thank you, Glenda. Thank you, my dear. Glenda says congratulations. So, okay. That's 3. All right. What was 4 and 5? Yeah, I want to talk about this one next. Invest back into your business. Invest back into your business. Like many of you, I started this business as a solopreneur. I was doing this completely on my own, I think for the first 3 years, 2 or 3 years now, I can't remember. And until I started bringing on team members, and my team has grown and evolved, and it's gotten bigger and smaller depending on what's going on in my business, depending on what's going on in life, depending on who I'm hiring and what roles they fill. But I have found that while it's not always a straight line, meaning sometimes you can hire someone and instantly see that return on your investment really, really fast. Just depends on your business model and what you're who you're hiring, what role you're hiring is what I mean to say. And what the sort of how long it's going to take that person to get up to speed to make an impact, again, depending on what their role is. So it's not always a straight direct, great, I invested, I paid this person, and I've already, gotten 10 more clients or something like that. That may be the case, but it's not always the case. But what I find is the energy and the time that you put into your business, and even I would say including when you hire a person that's not the best fit, that time and energy that you put into that will serve you over and over and over again. Because when you hire somebody that's not a right fit, you learn what is a good fit, just like when you're dating. My cat is giving me a death stare right now. So even when you're hiring, so I guess my point is it's not always a direct line. Just like the stock market, I don't mean to imply that investing in bringing team members on is volatile like the stock market, but in the same way that you hopefully don't track the stock market on a minute by minute, hour by hour, even day by day basis, if you're investing for the long term, right? It may go up and down before it goes up and before it, sustainably goes up. So I think that I want to be really clear and realistic that you do have to be really comfortable with the amount that you're investing in the beginning. And I think it's very easy to invest little by little. You don't have to spend $1,000 a month on team members to start. We are in a huge freelancer economy, and this really, really serves those of us who run small businesses. So there's ways to start small, but I have found that every single investment I have made, every single coach I've hired, every single team member I've brought on board, every single accountant I've worked with has significantly helped my business grow financially. It's helped my business grow in terms of the knowledge that's within the organization. The people that are working with me on my team now, because of how long they've been with me, they know how to anticipate things, or how to say oh, you know what, you could add the thing from last May to this, and because they've been not just in their roles with other people for a while now, but because they've been with me for a while, they've learned, and that investment that I've made in them is growing, right? I'm getting more back every month because of that, right? And so again, it's not always a quick or straight line, but that those investments that I've made, and I've worked with coaches that weren't the perfect exact match for me, but that has helped me to find the right match for me. And it's also helped me recognize sometimes when a client isn't right for me, because I could sort of feel a similar vibe that I experienced. So all of that time, energy, working with other people has served my business in less obvious ways, maybe more indirect, but all of that is building knowledge for me as a business owner, for my team. There are things that my team members who are no longer with me have created that we're still doing and using, right? So that time and energy and investment is still being utilized. So there's really a compounding interest kind of concept, I think, with investing in your business. And I think it's something that a lot of us who are running small online businesses, when I talk to my clients who have brick and mortar companies, they have no problem, going out and getting a loan because they have to buy a refrigerator for their, restaurant, right? You have to, that's otherwise you're shutting down if you don't have a refrigerator, right? But those of us that are solopreneurs, those of us that don't have a physical space, that don't have, frankly, a lot of expenses, I find are a lot more afraid to invest. And while investing is a decision that you have to make based on your own specific comfort level with risk, based on your own specific financial situation, how much extra money you have available to you. I'm not just saying this is a blanket, recommendation, please hear that. But when it is right for you, or when it's possible for you, whether you're starting small, and I sound like I'm talking to new people and new business owners, and I am in many ways, because that was something that I've learned in this business. But 5 years in, I've had team members now for 2 or 3 years. I've had coaches for almost the entire 5 years. And actually, I have had coaches for the entire 5 years. I'm still A, benefiting from my previous investments, and B, more knowledgeable and aware of how to better invest in team members and coaches going forward. And I will tell you that from a time perspective and a quality of life, quality of work perspective, when you delegate things that aren't in your zone of genius, that don't light you up, and you bring somebody on who's really good at it, A, it feels really good to be supported in that way. B, it frees you up to be able to sell more, serve more, therefore make more money. So I do believe in investing in your business, and that investing in your business can be hiring a coach, can be hiring a therapist, right? It can be taking a class. There's all of these things are investing in your business. And I find that people tend to be on one extreme or the other. One extreme, they're taking classes all the time. They've got like a business coach and a personal coach and a therapist and an energy coach, and they've got like 40 to 7 team members, and there's no judgment there. It depends on your business model, depends on what's going on. But some people have no problem and they will solve anything with a new team member, right? And sometimes that's not the answer. Or people are on the other end of the spectrum. No, it's fine, I can do that. No, it's fine, I can do that. No, it's fine, I can do that, right? And when you're fine, I can do thating, you aren't giving yourself enough time and space to do the thing that you set out to do in your business. I personally think, I don't know anyone. I've been trying to think of someone. I've actually been trying to think of someone ever since I did my workshop this summer around team. It was called Conscious Leadership. It's still, I keep saying I'm going to bundle it up and sell it, and I haven't had a chance yet. So go get it. It's live in the group in the featured section. But I'm always trying to think of a single person that I know. And I can't think of a single person that I know that is making multiple 6 figures and does not have support. I don't know a single person that is making multiple 6 figures. I can come up with a small group of people who are making low 6 figures, like $100,000, $120,000. A few, and I think that's personally really hard, but I know people that are doing that. I don't know a single person who are in the multi 6 figures that have no support. And I would argue that if your goal, whatever your goal is financially, if your goal is to reach 6 figures, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot faster if you get some support. But I find too that this investment is something that I'm constantly asking myself about. I'm constantly, not constantly, but I'm regularly looking at and regularly thinking about. And I'm so much better at investing in my business now than I was even a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And learning to, just like learning to invest in the stock market, it takes a minute. You gotta learn. And the only way to learn this shit is to experience it. You gotta learn by doing. So the sooner you can invest in your next level support, whatever that is for you. And sometimes that doesn't mean that you're always adding people or you're always adding spend. It could be that you're reevaluating your investment and you're scaling back and you're being more strategic because you're going to invest your time into something while you maybe decrease. I have scaled up and scaled back my team several times over based on what's going on. So it doesn't have to mean numbers of people, dollars of team spend. And I'm really not talking about team. I'm talking about anyone and anything that requires you to pay money for so that you can, in the long term, support your business in the long term. Like these are long-term actions to take. And I think that when we only allow ourselves to look at the short term, we cut ourselves off. We hold ourselves back. We are looking at it, frankly, from a almost outdated perspective. And while yes, this is the present moment is all we have. If you're building something, if you're wanting to continue to create and stay in that, I think we're here to create. It's really why I think that our souls are here on this earth, is to create and that means like create relationships, create, all kinds of houses, create whatever. If that's where you want to play and you want to play big and honor your mission and honor your soul and honor your clients, past, present, and future, then investing in your business in the long term, whatever that is really, really important. And so again, if you're not giving yourself permission to invest in your next level, whatever that means to you, it could be dollars, it could be time, it could be energy. I would argue that I've taken the last month, I've talked a little bit about the fact that I've pulled back a little bit to give myself some white space and taking some unexpected time off. I took some time off and I slowed some things down while still serving my clients. So I did kind of a like hybrid-y part-time schedule for the last month or so, and I'm going to continue that for a little bit longer. So I would argue that I've invested in my mental health and my creativity. And I've invested in my business in the last month because while that sounds like I'm just off, running around on the beach, and I have been, I'm also giving myself time and space because I'm birthing some new things and I'm still processing what they are. And I know that if I just keep going at the pace that I was going at, I wouldn't have the white space and the brain space to finish that creative process, finish that thought process, and be able to birth anything. So while it might have looked like I'm pulling back and stopping, which I never really was, what I am doing is investing in my future. So again, investing a lot of times means putting dollars out there, but not always. So time, energy, brain space, relationships with people, and dollars. All of those ways are ways that we invest in our business. And I think I know that if you want to build something sustainable, investing has to be a part of it. It just does, which gets back to the evolve part. Okay. And then number 5, what is number 5? I've already forgotten. Okay. So I think the investment piece really speaks to long-term vision, long-term. I don't really love the word planning, but having that vision towards the long term, being able to see the big picture in your business is really, really important. And it doesn't mean that what you think you want, let's say 5 years from now, is what you have to have. Like most of the time, I said this in my little post, when I was promoting today's live, like 5 years ago, when I set out to create this business, I had lots of big dreams and goals for it. And it is not it doesn't look the way I had planned. It doesn't look the way I had envisioned. And it's 4,000 times better. It's evolved over time as I've evolved and as I've played and done stuff and gone, oh, that was cool, but I don't really want to do that anymore. And oh, that was cool. I want to do that even more. How can I find a way to do that even more? I used to do group coaching, and I now only do one-on-one coaching because I've played around in both spaces and I've realized that I'm much better. My zone of genius is in one-on-one, and it's really what lights me up the most. So, and I help my clients get bigger results in that space. So, you have to play around in it. And so as we're thinking about this vision, so this is number 5, is about keeping the long-term vision in your mind and sort of top of mind as we talk about, again, all 5 of these things for me have been driving values and guidelines that help me make business decisions on a daily basis, help me to land on tweaks to my strategy, land on who to hire next, land on how to make changes to my team, land on what kind of content I want to put out, land on who I want to serve next year, right? Thinking big picture. But I think it's really important when we have a big goal, we want to do something big, whether that's a financial goal or intention, or something that you want to put out there, like you want to write a book. Okay, awesome. That's a big project, right? That's a big project. If you set your financial goals for the year, that I would argue that's a big project. That's a 12-month endeavor. And while I think that's really important, what I find oftentimes I have to do with my clients, and my own coach does for me, is we have to also make sure that we're celebrating all along the way to that goal, because the goal is not the point, it's the journey. Because we aren't in business to reach a goal. We aren't in business to one time only make 6 figures, or one time only make multiple 6 figures, or one time only make 7 figures, or one time only, well, maybe be on the stage with Oprah, right? Like whatever it is, one time only write the book. Like it's not about writing the book. It is about having the book in your hand, but it's also about having people read your book. It's about talking to people about your book. It's about the journey and the beautiful creative process that you're going to go through writing the book. I don't know about you, but when I read books that I love, like particularly fiction novels, I find that if it's one of my favorite books and I start to kind of get to the end, I won't read it tonight. I'm not going to pick it up tonight. And then the next night, I'm just going to read a couple pages, right? Because you want to savor it and you want to enjoy it, because the goal is not to read the book to the end. The goal is to enjoy the process of reading the book. And actually there is a sadness when you get to the end. And I find so many people don't talk about how when you're in that creative process, you want to create this thing, right? Your book, your podcast, your financial goals, I want to book 3 more clients this month, or whatever it is that you want to do, however tangible or intangible. And then you're hearing me say, keep a vision on the future. And that's the important part. And while it's also like you can, in the same way you can't see the forest for the trees, you can't see the trees for the forest. And you can't sometimes, it's really important to remind yourself to celebrate the smaller steps and the milestones along the way, which is why I always celebrate today, this anniversary, because I didn't set out to be in business for 5 years. Right? But a year ago, yes, that was one of my goals, I guess, like sort of a subtle goal. I'd like to be in business for many, many years. But more importantly, I'd like to impact the world. More importantly, I'd like to work with people that I love. More importantly, I want to feel fulfilled. More importantly, I want to follow my creative juices and create a whole bunch of stuff. But it is important to celebrate. And that's what I'm doing today. And I'm doing that with you in the way that I know how to do with you, which is having a relationship with this group and sharing and paying it forward and sharing with you my experience. And so set it and forget it is kind of the way that I like to look at it. If you're in your 30s or younger, you might not remember this, but there was like a rotisserie chicken commercial like infomercial, I think it was back in the day. Anyway, it was like you buy this like oven thing that the chicken sits in, and you put the chicken in there and you set it and forget it, kind of like a slow cooker. Like you just press a button and then you leave it for however many hours, and then you have your little chicken cooked when you're done. Set your goal, set your vision, and then forget it in the sense that you're not tracking your progress every single day. You're not micromanaging. Well, I set a goal to make $40,000 this month and I've only made 3, right? Try, as I talked about in the beginning, like tracking the stock market, by the minute or by the hour is a flipping nightmare, right? But when you zoom out and you allow yourself to watch it go over time, it will keep growing, right? And so allowing yourself to set that vision, knowing that over time it's going to set item number 1, grow and evolve over time. Also knowing that as you go towards your vision, towards your goals, the goal isn't to just reach the goal, because by the time you get there, you're going to have another goal, I hope, and have another thing you want to create. And even if you have a book, there's going to be things you want to do with the book, and people you want to talk to about the book, and maybe collaborations that could come out of the book. So it's all sort of continuing. So the goal isn't to just get the book. The book itself is actually just the first goal and the milestone. And so allowing yourself to see every week, every month, the progress that you've made without micromanaging that progress and holding and gripping to it, because you will get there, but you will get there by celebrating the smaller steps. I find those smaller steps to actually be way more exciting for me as a coach. Like what I geek out about is when my clients have these small wins. Yes, I'm excited and happy and cry tears when they have these big wins, but sometimes I cry tears. Oftentimes I cry tears when they just have a mindset shift that I know is going to change their lives forever. And yes, it's also going to get them to their next financial goal, or it's also going to help them make a good decision in their business, right? But it's the smaller things. Think about your most important people in your lives, whether it's your family, your closest friends, whoever it is that are like your inner circle. And yes, it's important that they be with you in important moments like, graduations and weddings and birthdays and things. But I think I've lost a lot of people in my life who have died young, and the things that I always miss about them are not the big things. I don't miss going to graduation with so-and-so and so-and-so. I miss the day that they gave me a hug in the living room, the normal, regular things. And the normal, regular things in your business are what will bring you more fulfillment. And when you do that, that inevitably helps you get to your goals, right? It all ties in together. So I hope this was helpful. I hope, I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings. I'm not seeing the comments. It looks like there's some here, but I'm not seeing them. But anyway, drop me a note if you're live or on the replay. Let me know how this resonates with you. If you have been in business for 1 year or more, I would love to know what you've learned. What would you here's my question for you to think about for yourself. Feel free to share this here in the group, but what would you do if you were sitting in this chair right now, delivering a message to your clients 5 years from now, 1 year from now, or right now? What have you learned in your X number of years and months in business? What do you want to pay forward? What do you wish you'd known? What do you think that are your driving values and that you keep at top of mind, that you keep relearning? For example, how to be more and more and more authentic every year. We'd love to know, love to know. I know the group would benefit from your wisdom, your thoughts, your feelings, because when you have a thought and a way and a thing that's been impactful and important and meaningful to you, there's guaranteed to be a minimum of one other person in this group that will find it meaningful, and most likely a lot. So feel free to share those. Okay, my friends, have a lovely week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for celebrating with me. Thank you for being part of this group. This is one of the things that lights me up. I really, really love this group. And I'm going to be making a few little tweaky changes, but we're going to continue to, please feel free to promote your work. Don't forget, we have Tuesdays and Fridays. You can promote freebies on Tuesdays, and Fridays you can promote paid offers or you can still promote freebies on Fridays as well. Please take an opportunity to promote your work on Tuesdays and Fridays. There's the post that goes out. You can put yourself in the your links in the comments. And then feel free to post regularly in this group and to share your content on the non-Tuesdays and Fridays, or not outside that. Like if you have a link that you want to share and something you want to promote, I want you to feel comfortable to do that. But I want you to do that inside the promotional post. But please feel free to post tips, to copy paste. Please don't share, but like please copy paste some of your content from your social media and drop it here in the group for people to see. There's a lot of people have made amazing connections in this group and gotten clients from this group. And that is one of my many goals for this group, is that we continue to do business with one another, to support one another when we're looking for recommendations or just need a little support with something that we're dealing with, whether it be practical or emotional or mindset wise around running a business. So feel free to use this group in whatever way feels good to you. If you're not sure, you're welcome to send me or my team an email. All the admins are listed in the group. I'm sorry, a private message. But I really do want to encourage people to post more in the group, to connect more in the group, and to benefit from the community that's here. So, and if you have any thoughts on how we could make this better for you, let me know too. Okay, thanks. Have a great week.